Well, hello, Mr. Barfield. How are you tonight?
Hey, my old friend. Donald, I don't know, man. I was sitting here a little bit ago, and I made a mistake.
Oh, gosh. Well, hey, we're all human, man. It don't come with a manual. What kind of mistake did you make?
I turned YouTube onto my news channel, and I was sitting there, just kind of scrolling through the.
So you was reconnecting to the real world after, having the weekend off and realizing that there's some crappy shit going on in the world. Is that what you're trying to say, or am I totally off base?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty close to it, man. That's if you really think about it, I mean, every time I turn on the news, I'm seeing another mass shooting. And
yeah. Yeah, and now there's nothing funny at all about that, but now I do agree with you. That has become more predominant. I mean, I watching just some of the news channels and them claiming this is an American epidemic. I've noticed it happening in other areas, but now there's that big question is, now I'm going to pose this to you, and this is a very controversial, subject. Now, I'm from the South. I'm all for guns. I own many. But there is a point that we can obviously see there's people getting hold of them that should not have any reason to have a hold of them. I mean, regardless of what, why, how, criminals, I mean, you just pick it out there. They're made, they're sold, they're done. It is a problem. What I want to know is why cannot some of the people that are actually, even me, I see there's a problem. I don't know how to solve it, but I don't want to say kill gun rights, but there are limits that could be posed in some shape, form, or fashion and never actually touch those amendment rights that people complain about. There's got to be a tiny change. Now, I'm not wanting to step on anybody's toes because I do believe in the right to own arms. But how many do you have to have? I mean, how easy does it have to get out to the public and to people who really have no right understanding or the need for them? When do we make that change? So do you want to address that or, what do you think, Brad?
Well, I mean, I think you kind of said, a lot of my feelings on it for sure. There was an assault weapons ban for years and years and years in the United States of America. And it was repealed, early 2000s? It came in the 90s. Of course, the 90s were very violent, And it's looking like the 2020s are going to be just as violent as the 90s were. I mean, we both lived in the 90s. There was some crazy stuff going on. It's right at the verge. It was pre 9/11. After 9/11, it changed a lot of things. People are more wary now. We used to put up with a lot more crazy, and now it's like, what in the hell you got going? This is my perspective. Like, how in the hell are these crazy fuckers getting a gun? I mean, I purchased guns, used guns, and new guns from gun shops and from a pawn shop recently in the past year or so, and I had to go through a background check. Now, really, they looked for more than just the criminal background, too. They were looking for other things. If you had any outstanding warrants, if you had any domestic violence things, and I couldn't get it that day. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was because of the way that it turned out or if it was my schedule or their schedule, but both times I didn't get the guns for, I didn't need them right then, but it took me 3, 4, 5, 7 days, whatever it took,
Well, let's just address that for just a second. You didn't need it, but you went through the work to get it, which, of course, now, just mentioning this, part of that little waiting period is for the purpose of some man found out his wife was cheating. She goes and, he buys a gun, comes home and shoots her ass. It's a cool down period. Now, if I'm using the firearms for the reason that the amendments were set for, then I should not have a problem with waiting a few days. You know, again, now that's just a very little blurb. Please continue.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of loopholes to it. I mean, you can get a gun without going through all that. I mean, I can get one privately. I can know someone that has a gun, you know, and it could be
true.
fun.
But I'm trying to point out is if you follow the law, the rules, the way it's set up, you are never denied the owning of a firearm. Yes, there's the loopholes. You've got the gun shows. You've got all the stuff, which is some of those problems. Is, you know, they'll take an automatic fire weapon and break it up over, you know, a whole show. But only the people who know it's there could purchase that. Now, go ahead, please.
Well, I mean, just like you were saying, though, if you listen to most of these news stories that we have going on right now, I mean, they are they say this person bought their gun legally 1 week ago, you know, or they bought it 2 days ago or 2 months ago, you know. So a lot of them are buying it legally. So it's passing along. I mean, they don't have previous convictions.
Maybe that should point out there's a problem with the current gun ownership laws. If the folks that are shooting up these schools match the criteria you just set forth, they legally obtained the firearms. They didn't, you know, fight off somebody in the back corner, you know, out of the back of a van with the serial number scribed off. See, that argues we need better gun laws. But again, it goes back to if you're going to use your guns for the reasons they were made for, the, you know, arming of a local militia, the self-protection, hunting of deer. I don't have to send pictures out of me holding an M16 and my kid has one too. Y'all, that's a given. If you're from the South, your kids know how to shoot guns. I ain't got to send you a picture of it. It's the promoting of the pictures to say, look how strong I am holding this huge gun. Dude, I don't think you know how to wipe your ass with that gun. You know?
Yeah.
The level of comprehension and the level of, I guess, comprehension of the use of it and why you have the right to own these guns. It's not to show it off. It's not to say, oh, somebody's marching down the street. It's there to protect yourself, your family, and if a foreign body or righteous crowd, okay, now we're going to go back to some of that back in January stuff, you have the right to do that thing. But come on, these people are making it, it's too much, too fast, too crazy, and we're missing the big point of it's spreading. My opinion.
And to throw on top of that, here's something to think about. I mean, you know, my purchases were both 30-30s. And, of course, you know, I'm trying to collect them from different years. But now, recent purchases. But now there's a difference between purchasing a 30-30 or a 12 gauge that has, you know, that holds 5 shells than purchasing, an AR-233 or AR-556, particularly the 5.56. You know, if you got a magazine that can hold, 200 rounds, I mean, I would expect that the background check that you would go to get that particular weapon would be more thorough. That's what I'm trying to say, is that if you're going to get an assault weapon, I don't think you should ban them because I think they have their place. I mean, I actually have one, to be honest with you, but I don't have any plans of going in and shooting up people with it, Now, if there's a crowd of people coming onto my property acting a fool, I may light your ass up. You know what I'm saying? But,
Well, and I agree with that, but, now I have no problem with anyone that wants to own a high-capacity 5.56 rifle. I've got 3. I mean, it's because, but I purchased them for a reason. People say you deer hunt with them, and I do. I do deer hunt with them. I let my grandkids deer hunt with them because it don't matter that it holds 20 rounds. It's a very light, tiny gun with a light scope, and it lets them shoot. It lets them hunt. But in the back of my mind, the high capacity is for another reason. You go back to the local militia. Now I'm not a, survivalist. I don't have a pit in my backyard. I ain't got none of that crap. But I'm all about if you come into my house, you better be ready for bear. But I don't go looking for it. And I get the feeling that a lot of the folks that are about this gun thing are more about the Kyle Rittenhouse guy. Hey, no matter what that guy said, what he did, he went out there thinking he was a badass with a major weapon and people was going to respect him. That's how that happened. He went out there with a, look at my gun. I'm going to stand here and I'm going to be strong. I'm going to do it. And then he got on trial and he cried like a little bitch. Because folks don't really understand. Y'all are playing with fire with this. Wait till the people you are worried about get a hold of these guns. You know, me and you have had some back channel discussions about that.
Yeah. Yeah, when your enemies start getting it, it's not nearly as fun. But again, I don't. Like I said, I don't have a problem with people owning it, but I think that you probably. But I don't know what you would do. I don't know how you would do it. I don't know that. I don't even know that I believe in it. I don't even know that I could think.
Yeah.
Now you tell me what.
There's no answer. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Because you could say it's like, well, what about the person that's on, medicine? I mean, I'm like, well, medicine is if someone is. I don't think that I would be willing to bet that 99.99999% of people that were on medicine, antidepressant, whatever the hell you want to put, garbage list there, I don't think that most of those people will go out and shoot somebody. But now identifying those people that do, and then screening for that with a gun, it almost makes it where it's hard. You can't even do it. I don't even know how to do it. I wouldn't know how to do it. So I'm just saying, I guess I'm like everybody else. Is like, really, unfortunately, I don't know that anything else you could do. I really don't. I know that sounds weak, but I just don't know what else you could do. Maybe, maybe wait longer for it or something. I don't know.
No, I mean, excuse me. You can't start narrowing it down due to what somebody's on. I mean, come on. I've had enough medical problems and, I've worked using medication that sure enough had labels that do not operate heavy machinery. It didn't bother me in the slightest. I worked totally fine, safe, 30 years. So that's not quite the way. It's more the way of, I guess, how we picture what I think they're for. It's more of a sign of power. It's more of a sign. They want the fanciest gun with the hollow sights and the streamlight and the rails and the lasers because it's cool. And then they find out that this crap is real. It's not Call of Duty anymore. And I have seen some stuff that is like, do you people not really understand what this stuff is? But it's a change of the time. I'm not stuck in the time. I've got what I consider a flexible mind. Times do change. I just wish, I guess, going back to the historical side of it, why was the amendment to the right to bear arms actually in place? It wasn't for deer hunting. It wasn't for the right to have 47 bullets to shoot at a helpless animal. It was to have someone prepared in case our soil was invaded. The problem is we've got invaders that are not necessarily all out there. And I'm not talking about the folks from the South. I'm not talking about the red. I'm talking about the other. There are threats to our nation, which is what that was made for. It's just currently it's being used in such a bad way. I mean, I saw Spain had a massive shooting. They hadn't had one in I don't know how long. So now I kind of wonder, because the U.S. has so many, are we the reason that happened? Because those countries actually have a handle on it. What do you think?
Well, I mean, if you really, if you just look at the number of them, and they're just happening everywhere. Church, a lot of it's for different reasons. I mean, a lot of these are, you say someone that likes the fancy guns, and yeah, that could be some of them. But also some of these folks are just, they hate everyone. I think that one guy, Dylan, whatever his name is, over there, went to a church. He was racist. He was a racist.
He just hated everybody. Right.
Yeah, that's right. Well, but he particularly hated black people, or he didn't. He just thought he did. I mean, that's what he'd been told. It was that. and then he had a particular whatever kind of psychosis he had going on, and of course it made sense. But that's not the only reason, though. Some of these folks, they just, their girlfriend breaks up with them. They don't have the right kind of job. They are people that they maybe have never had a relationship. They may, crack from being in a relationship. But there's just no particular thing that listed. But there's at the end, you go.
Yeah.
At the end, you just go, well, this is a crazy son of a bitch. And how do you
but now,
crazy
okay.
son of a bitch?
So let's call back to something you just said, the toxicity of young men. You was talking about young men and women that they don't know how to interact. They don't know how to actually act in public. And they freak out because the toxicity of young men is one of the big driving factors in this, because I've noticed that a bunch of these is exactly that. And I don't know, man, it's kind of crazy there. What about you?
Well, I mean, there was that thing the other day. There was a one at a Christian school, and I think it was in like Memphis or Nashville, or where it was at. But it was the first thing they said about that person was transgender. That was thrown in, which is kind of a new thing too. You have different kinds of people doing the shooting now. It used to be just a crazy white boy. Now you see African American, you see girls or women, whatever this person was.
Oh, I love that you said crazy white boy. Keep that in mind. Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was the thing, though. It's like, well, he doesn't get primed up on that right-wing rhetoric over there, and he doesn't decide to shoot somebody. That's what I'm talking about. They get them primed up. But now everybody gets primed up. Everybody. There's a lot of violence, man. There's, if you get around young people, all you got to do is scroll through Reddit. I mean, I looked at I had to listen.
That's what I was trying to say. The toxicity.
Fight porn is the fight porn is. I think it's probably just as big as regular porn.
There you go. The toxicity of what I see online for the younger people today has. I don't know how to say I can't understand it, because I can't understand it, because it's exactly what you're talking about. Fight porn? What the fuck is fight porn? I mean, now, we had a term that we used, we call, grunge fucking, or anger sex. That was the term we had during that time. And if I offended anybody, I'm sorry, but that truly was terms. It's almost like they relabel it, but fight porn?
Well, people get off on watching it, but now the thing of it is.
But what is it? See, I mean, that's what I'm saying is, what is it that has changed in society? Go ahead, yeah.
I can tell you what it is, or what I think it is. One is the fact that it's on Reddit. It's on the internet. I want to tell you this. We grew up in a time, before internet and cell phones and mobile devices and all this kind of business. That's not we've been hearing about this stuff forever, and I'm almost going, maybe they got something to say with it. But, you've always heard about how movies and music and stuff like that impact people. And here's my synopsis. It's that it's not just a movie that's going to impact you. It's you mentioned it a little bit ago. It's just they have become not indoctrinated, but they're just so used to just violence. There's video games. If they're not looking at a video game, then they're online watching fight porn. If they're not doing that, then they're actually out around young people and there's testosterone, and they've been cooped up, and then they got to do their dominant.
It's the overstimulation. It's constant overstimulation that we didn't have when we were younger. My opinion. Please continue.
Well, I mean, used to it, in school, you would go in there, and the teachers kind of knew how it worked. You'd go in there and you had a little pecking order line up. First couple of weeks of school, you'd have a few of them that want to fight. They want to be the baddest. Some of them want to be the smartest. Other ones want to be whatever. But you had to let the little pecking order get figured out. But now the pecking order is just all disturbed, because the pecking order it's so many different people. There's so much diversity in the population. Yeah. So it's not the same world that, a lot of us grew up in. A lot of people grew up around their own people. And
in all honesty, Brad, I mean, it's sad to say that the bullying when we were teenagers, now again, the bullying thing became more mainstream because of the Facebook and the advent of letting people from you didn't even know comment like, that's an ugly bitch. When we was in our school, of course, now we was in this pretty small school, you know, so now maybe we had a little different experience than some, but, you know, the ridicule that you got from folks that thought the things that other people did, that made you stronger and be like, you found your little clique. You didn't have folks halfway around the world feeding your ear with BS. It was truth. I mean, you know, we had little cliques. We had certain things. Gosh, at the stores we could tell. I mean, sideways Asian women and stuff. I mean, from girls that actually thought they were sideways, apparently. But, you know, that's a little stereotypical, but I think that growth into the huger world has made where bullying, which used to would make someone either better themselves, like, well, okay, I'll find my own little clique. Well, now it's all over the place, and nobody finds their clique. It's all online. It's all nobody understands. You can't, you know, get where I've been, and because it's all on screens. They never actually experience things together. We experience things like we went down to the gravel pit and had a beer drink around a bonfire. I mean, you know, we socially interacted. That's such a huge missing thing. The humanity side of this equation is the missing of socialization. They worried about, you know, I'm being bullied. Well, then stop doing whatever the hell they're picking on you about, or just ignore them. They're not your people. They're not your friends. Find someone else and move the hell on. Quit crying about it. Quit whining. I just think that would help so many of these young people. I'm worried about the toxicity of the young male. Believe me, I've had some discussions in the last week with some men that are they're 27 to 28 and they don't have a hair on their body. They look like 14-year-old little girls. This bothers the shit out of me, okay? You know, I ain't a man, but the effeminacy of our young men. Women don't know how to act because the men aren't saying, I have an interest in you and there's a competition. It's, you got a boyfriend? No. You want to give me some? Sure. It's that easy.
I mean, it's a different world. I mean, you know, this is not the world that we grew up in. Now this and you never knew it was going to go here. But now, see, I agree with some of the toxicity. You know, the bullying shit should have stopped a long time ago. A lot of it is just people that, you know, I like to see the video where they get their ass whipped. But there's a lot of people out there that want to try to dominate on people and don't even know who they're fucking with. In other words, it's kind of like stay in your own fucking lane. It's like, see, listen to me. Here's my problem.
Go ahead.
People should have learned the rules in fucking kindergarten. Keep your motherfucking hands to your goddamn self.
Absolutely.
Shut your fucking mouth. It ain't none of your business. And sit fucking still when you're inside. You know? Be fucking jumping around throwing shit, you know. You know, I mean, I think I'm a fucking fool. And that's it. That's the way I look at it. But see, people have not been taught rules. These kids that are under a certain age, they weren't. Their parents both have to work. We used to have it to where it was like, you know, one parent worked, but you could stay with grandma, and then they moved away, and grandma didn't keep the kids anymore. Some fucking stranger does it, some little center that you pay $150 a week to, and you say, well, you don't know. They don't know your kids. They slap them behind the cameras and shit, you know. These kids are not getting...
Amen, brother. Amen.
Kids are not growing up the way they should fucking grow up. They're not being treated respectfully. People, they're just having these fucking kids. A lot of them are having somebody else raise them. The parents are too far out on fucking drugs. They're out there, they're on fucking drugs. They're fucked up. They won't get a fucking job. They have no sense of center. And so it's fucked up shit. It makes people fucking crazy. Nobody's going to give any fucking thing to you. I hate to tell you. There's nothing for fucking free. You're going to have to fucking earn it. Now, you can earn it smart, you can earn it dumb, however you want to do it. But the reality of it is it's all on you. It's not somebody else's fucking fault. It's not my daddy's fault that I'm not a fucking trillionaire. It's not. It's never going to be his fucking fault. You got to
Hell no.
Shit, you know?
I got my own opportunities to make. So, all that being said, I absolutely agree with everything you just said, and I brought it to this one point. So, the ones that aren't kind of like this, do you want them to have guns? The ones that can accept that it's not my daddy's fault, I'm not successful. My parents gave me every opportunity to succeed. I feel I actually succeeded in life. Now, I failed many points because I'm damn human. You know, I made mistakes. I'm not in the best place. But, you know, overall, I'm happy. In a lot of ways. I've got great kids. I've got beautiful grandbabies. I mean, you know, those things mean things to me. But, you know, some of those folks that are not happy, the ones that, you know, they had the kids late and, you know, the grandparents ran them, the poor grandparents, they did their best with their kids. They felt they failed with their kids because they are now raising their grandchildren. If I was trying to raise my own grandchild, I would feel like an utter failure as a parent because I didn't raise my kids to do that. Well, my daughter, you know, I mean, she does good. She struggles. She does her thing. But I ain't raising my grandbabies. You know, I probably should because, you know, there's plenty of problems going on. But no, I just don't believe that. You know, I raised a child. I did my best. If you didn't listen to all my stories or all my information, I can't help that, but I'm still here for you. But then when they go off the rails, that's where I figure parenting has failed. Yeah, you know, it's just, but after that, it's the poor grandparents are just so sick of feeling they raised a failure. The ones that feel that they're helping a success story, hey, they're great. It's okay, but they're still missing something. You know, it goes back to that two parents having to raise the kids. Whereas when we grew up, you know, I mean, my dad worked, my mom took care of stuff. It's just a situational thing. How about you?
Well, yeah, I mean, that most certainly. Having kids raised. This is where I was going. You didn't say you said I disagree on one point. But you didn't disagree. That's not disagreeing. You know, what it is just an amplification of the point already there on the table. And the way I look at it is that, you know, you don't really have people raising their kids now by themselves out through the day. A lot of women don't do that. Now, I struggle. You know, we could be much more wealthy in my family if we had, you know, two earners and, you know, we could, you know, you could have, another $50 a week, I think, by the time taxes are paid and whatever, you know. But anyway, I like for my wife to be able to raise kids. I think it's important. I think it's important to be able to go check on them, to go to the schools, to be there for them.
And all the time you're spending currently with the ball teams. Now, I'm reiterating, I absolutely agree with everything you said because you are doing exactly what we're discussing. You know, I did it before. You're doing it just a little later in life. Mine started with that about 21, you know, and I did everything you did. I mean, I cared for my kids. I fed them and, you know, so I didn't pawn them off on my mom and them. Yes, they, you know, kept them from time to time when it was horrible. But today's times is more about the parents of their kids raising their own grandkids, and they're so tired, you know. It's just that I think they failed or they feel they failed. Let me rephrase that. Because I would never have done that. I would never have inflicted it on my parents. I would have went through any hardship I needed to keep from my parents raising my kids. But my kids don't seem to have a problem with it. See, there's the change that has happened in somewhere with the participation trophies, you can do anything you want to if you believe hard enough.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Well, the thing of it is though is like anyway, it doesn't matter. Oh no, here it is right here. How does that though impact the gun control? How can you use that? See, you can't do it. I'm telling you, there's no fucking way to do it. You can't just throw that on somebody. Well, you don't raise your kids, you can't buy a gun.
Well, no. I mean,
I didn't
go
say
ahead.
there was. Now listen. I'm just
Go
trying
ahead.
to put it in context. Again, we could talk about all the ills that we think lead to it, but you can't create a law about that. It's like with medicine. That stuff is so fuzzy, and I don't know the answer to it. I'm going to let you finish it out, though.
No,
Well,
no, I have my opinion, which is what, hey, the conversation, it started with gun control and the craziness of, I absolutely believe a person should be able to own any weapon they wish to own. Does there have to be controls? There's got to be some shape, form, or fashion controls. I mean, come on. How many neighbors, if you could truly talk to everybody in the United States, how many neighbors would look at the one next door and say, that somebody don't need a gun? He threatened to shoot my dog the other day. Not everybody has to own one. You should have the right to own one, but you should also demonstrate the willingness, the need, and the opportunity that you will use it in the correct way. Now, I don't know how to do that, but the waiting period, I mean, come on, that makes sense. Guy finds his wife cheating, I'm going to go buy a gun from a pawn shop, go back, and I'm going to pop their ass in the thing. Did you see it on the news story? 4 people dead, all because he could just go buy a gun. The cool down period, come on, people. If you're against that, that's all because you just want to shoot some motherfucker. The right to whatever thing here recently you had in Texas, there were so many things. The right to protect yourself. See, that's an excuse to, do you really feel threatened, or do you just feel the right that you go, I felt threatened? The right to own arms is a responsibility. If you want to own it, do it the right way. I mean, quit worrying about you want 20 round clips or any number of those things. Just, we have the right to own arms in the United States. Be glad you can own them. Don't want more than you can get, because all it does is it feeds into that hysteria of, it's all for killing people. I'm out, brother. Go ahead. My opinion only.
Well, that sounds, I agree with all that. I just wish that we didn't have to see so many. In that one, if there's that Texas mall today, there was more kids. At that one in Texas the other day, there was more. It was kids, and kids, and I mean,
Yes, sir, and that was the whole basis.
I hate it.
And yes, sir, that was the whole basis of what I wanted to do this cast with is, it don't make any sense. I understand the right to own arms, but the right to own arms does not allow this shit to keep happening. I would love someone better than me. I'm a small southern town man. I don't have the answers, but I would like to see someone that is elected speak the hell up and stand their ground and not do what we've been seeing, which is everybody's wishy-washy. One day they're like, by God, this. The next day they're like, oh, well, y'all got proof I said that, but I didn't mean that. Stand your damn ground. Mean what you say. Be a man. Own it. Be George Washington. I mean, Jefferson. Be some of those old, early pioneers that they didn't agree with everything, but they owned the shit they said. You know what I mean? But I know that's history, and that didn't happen because it didn't happen in my lifetime. Yay!
They don't believe it. Man, I'm going to tell you right now, the education system sucks. All this stuff. We're going to come back this and fight it another day. Be blessed, my friend. Thank you for the time.
All right. Talk to you later, brother.
Yes, sir. Goodbye.